Welcome back to our channel History Coins HD. As you that old is gold, but these rare dime coins that are most valuable than you think, don't spend one of them. You're lucky if you have one of these, so please watch complete video and find your treasure. Let's start this. Coin 1. Collectors and treasure seekers. If you've ever held an old silver coin and wondered about its story, today's video is going to take you on a journey through one of the most iconic and mysterious coins in American history, the Mercury dime. But we're not talking about just any Mercury dime. We're focusing on a particular year that has fascinated collectors for decades, the 1937 Mercury dime. Stay with us, because by the end of this video, you'll find out how a coin once worth just 10 cents could now be worth a small fortune. This is one you don't want to miss. Let's start with the basics. The Mercury dime, officially known as the Winged Liberty Head dime, was minted from 1916 to 1945. It's one of the most beloved designs in U.S. coinage history, often admired for its classical beauty and fine details. At first glance, many people think the figure on the coin is the Roman god Mercury, but in reality, it's a young Lady Liberty wearing a wing cap, symbolizing freedom of thought. Now, what makes the 1937 Mercury dime stand out from the rest? The year 1937 was part of a critical era in American history. The country was recovering from the Great Depression, and the mint was producing coins that were both durable for circulation and symbolic of national pride. The Mercury dime was struck in 3 different mints that year: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco, and millions of them were made. So you might be asking, how can a coin that was made in such high numbers become rare? The answer lies in condition, mint marks, and a few very special hidden details that separate ordinary dimes from extraordinary ones. First, let's talk about the design. On the obverse side of the 1937 dime, you see Liberty with her wing cap, surrounded by the words Liberty and In God We Trust, along with the date at the bottom. Flip it over, and you'll find a bundle of fasces, a symbol of strength and unity, wrapped in olive branches, representing peace. This combination of imagery speaks to the American spirit of resilience and unity during hard times. Now here's where things get exciting. While most 1937 Mercury dimes are common in circulated condition and worth a few dollars depending on their wear, there's a hidden world of high-grade specimens and rare varieties that can dramatically increase a coin's value. Imagine stumbling upon a 1937 Mercury dime in uncirculated condition, no scratches, no discoloration, sharp details like it just came off the minting press. These coins are extremely hard to find because most were used daily for groceries, newspapers, bus fare, you name it. The few that survived untouched are highly prized today, but the story doesn't end there. There are also minting errors and rare varieties from 1937 that have collectors on the hunt. Double die errors, repunched mint marks, and full band strikes are some of the key features that can boost the value of a Mercury dime significantly. Full bands, in particular, refer to the horizontal lines across the fasces on the reverse. If all the lines are fully struck and clearly visible, the coin is said to have full bands, which can double or even triple its value. Collectors and grading experts look for these full band dimes with intense scrutiny, and those that qualify can sell for enormous sums, especially when combined with near-perfect condition and rarity from a particular mint. And now, let's talk about what everyone wants to know: the money. How much can a 1937 Mercury dime really be worth? Let's set the scene. A 1937 Mercury dime, struck at the Denver Mint, certified in mint state condition by a professional grading company, with fully defined bands on the reverse and no visible flaws. This is not just a dime, it's a numismatic treasure. Coins like this have gone under the hammer in major auctions, stirring up fierce bidding wars from collectors around the globe. And now, the grand reveal. A pristine, mint condition 1937 Mercury dime with full bands, verified rarity, and top-grade certification has sold for an astounding $165,000. Yes, you heard that right. What was once a 10-cent coin is now worth $165,000. So the next time you're digging through an old coin jar, estate sale, or inherited collection, keep your eyes peeled. That small silver dime could be holding a legacy and a fortune. Thanks for joining us on this incredible journey through coin history. If you found this video fascinating and want to learn more about rare and valuable coins from around the world, be sure to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and hit that notification bell so you never miss a treasure hunting tip. Until next time, happy collecting, and may your next find be worth more than you ever imagined. Coin 2. We're diving into one of the most legendary and sought-after coins in American history, the 1942 Mercury dime. It may look small and unassuming, but some versions of this coin are anything but ordinary. In fact, one rare example of this dime has stunned collectors and auction houses alike, not just for its condition, but for its value. So don't blink. This tiny silver dime has a story to tell, and you're about to hear it. Let's begin by traveling back to 1942. The United States was deep in the throes of World War II. Factories were roaring, soldiers were being trained and deployed, and the entire nation was united in an effort to support the war. Coins minted during this time didn't just represent money, they represented strength, resilience, and national pride. Among these wartime coins was the Mercury dime. Now, the Mercury dime, officially known as the Winged Liberty Head dime, was struck between 1916 and 1945. Designed by sculptor Adolph A. Weinman, it remains one of the most beautiful coins the U.S. has ever produced. The front of the coin features liberty in a winged cap, symbolizing freedom of thought. The reverse side shows a Roman fasces, symbolizing strength through unity, wrapped in olive branches for peace. It's art. It's history. And for some collectors, it's gold, figuratively speaking. But what sets the 1942 Mercury dime apart from other years? At first glance, not much. The coin was struck at 3 mints: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Tens of millions of these coins were produced to keep up with wartime demand. Most ended up in cash registers, coat pockets, or eventually in coin jars tucked away in people's homes. Common circulated versions are still found today and are usually worth just a few dollars based on silver content and wear. But, and here's where it gets exciting, not all 1942 Mercury dimes are created equal. There's a particular variety of the 1942 Mercury dime that has made headlines, broken auction records, and created a buzz among collectors for decades. It's known as the 1942-1 overdate error. So, what exactly is that? Well, due to a minting mistake, some dimes minted in 1942 actually show the number 1 beneath the 2 in the date. This happened when a working die intended for 1941 was accidentally repunched with the 1942 date without fully removing the original number. The result? A visible overdate, a double image, plain as day once you know what to look for. This error was caught too late. By the time it was discovered, many of these dimes had already entered circulation. Some were spent on groceries or war bonds, never to be seen again. But a few survived, and those few are now among the most coveted coins in U.S. numismatic history. Let's talk rarity. Most people will go their whole lives without ever seeing a 1942/1 Mercury dime. Even fewer will recognize it if they do. It takes a sharp eye, a good magnifier, and sometimes expert verification to spot the real thing. But if you're lucky enough to own one and it's in the right condition, you could be holding on to a treasure far more valuable than its face value suggests. The grading is everything with this coin. If your 1942/1 dime has visible overdate features and is in circulated condition, it could be worth several hundred to several $1,000s. But if you happen to have one in uncirculated, mint-state condition, certified and graded by a top authority like PCGS or NGC, then you've just stepped into elite collector territory. The most desirable examples are those with full split bands on the reverse, those tiny raised lines on the bundle of rods. Only the most sharply struck coins show these full bands clearly. That level of detail, paired with the overdate error in pristine condition, makes for an extremely rare and valuable combination. So now, let's get to the moment you've been waiting for. What is the highest known value for a 1942 Mercury dime? Well, in a major auction event that had collectors and investors alike buzzing with excitement, one incredible example of the 1942-1 overdate Mercury dime, graded in near-perfect condition with full split bands, sold for a jaw-dropping $145,000. Yes, you heard that right. A 10-cent coin, smaller than a quarter, turned into $145,000. So what's the takeaway here? Never underestimate the power of a small coin. What looks like pocket change to one person could be a fortune to another. That old jar of coins sitting in your basement? That drawer of silver pieces your grandparents left behind? It could contain the next hidden gem. Keep your eyes open. Do your research. And always look closely, because history has a way of hiding its most valuable stories in plain sight. If you enjoyed this deep dive into one of America's most remarkable coins, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell so you never miss a new video. We've got more incredible coin stories coming your way. Some of them might just change the way you look at your change forever. Coin 3. We're unlocking the fascinating tale of a dime. Not just any dime, but the 1945 Mercury dime, one of the last coins of its kind, and one that hides a rare version so valuable, it has stunned collectors and auction houses alike. So don't scroll away or skip ahead. This is a story about silver, war, and one small detail that turned a 10-cent coin into a six-figure prize. Let's set the stage. The year is 1945. The world is at a turning point. World War II is coming to an end. The United States is celebrating victory, mourning loss, and transitioning from a war economy to a peacetime future. People are buying groceries with dimes, saving coins in war effort jars, and collecting pocket change that will soon become part of history. And in the midst of this transition, the U.S. Mint produces the final run of the Mercury dime, marking the end of an era in American coinage. The Mercury dime, which had been in circulation since 1916, was never officially called Mercury. The name comes from the resemblance of Liberty's portrait to the Roman god Mercury, with wings on her cap that represent freedom of thought. On the back, you'll find a fasces, an ancient Roman symbol of strength and unity wrapped in olive branches for peace. It's a coin born from art and ideology, capturing the spirit of the early 20th century in just 10 cents worth of silver. But 1945 was different. This was the final year of production for the Mercury dime. In 1946, it would be replaced by the Roosevelt Dime in honor of President Franklin D. Roosevelt after his death. That makes 1945 a landmark year for collectors, a farewell to one of the most elegant coin designs in U.S. history. Now, here's where things get interesting. Most 1945 Mercury dimes were produced in massive quantities, over 150 million coins across 3 mints, Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Because of this, a typical 1945 Mercury dime in circulated condition isn't considered rare. In fact, you can still find them in coin shops or online for just a few dollars. But as with many things in the world of numismatics, rarity isn't always about how many were made, it's about how many were made perfectly. And when it comes to the 1945 Mercury dime, one particular version stands in a league of its own, the 1945's full bands Mercury dime in top uncirculated condition. Now let's talk about what full bands means. On the reverse side of the coin, the fasces, a bundle of rods, features 3 horizontal bands that should appear clearly separated when the coin is struck properly. Most Mercury dimes, especially those minted in San Francisco in 1945, were not sharply struck. The dies were worn, the pressure was inconsistent, and the tiny bands often blended together or were partially missing. Finding a 1945's Mercury dime where the bands are fully defined and sharply struck is extremely rare. So rare, in fact, that for many years, experts believed that no true full band specimens even existed for that year in mint. Then, seemingly out of nowhere, a small number began to surface. Each one went under intense scrutiny. Coin grading companies examined them under magnification, looking for crisp, clean separations between the bands. And when they confirmed a genuine full band strike, especially in mint state, uncirculated condition, the numismatic world took notice. Why does this matter? Because collectors place huge premiums on coins with this kind of detail. A 1945's Mercury dime with full bands is not just hard to find, it's nearly impossible. Out of millions produced, only a handful have ever been discovered that meet the criteria for full bands and mint state preservation. That's a rare intersection of perfection in a sea of average strikes. So what happens when rarity meets condition? The price skyrockets. One of the few known examples of the 1945's Mercury dime, with sharp full bands and graded in near flawless mint state condition, went to auction. Collectors from around the world placed their bids. It wasn't just about the silver. It wasn't just about the age. It was about the rarity of the strike, the preservation of detail, and the historical significance of the coin itself. And now, the moment you've been waiting for, the final hammer dropped. And that one tiny dime, born in wartime, struck in San Francisco, preserved in all its full band glory, sold for an unbelievable sum, $138,000, yes. $138,000. For a single dime. It's hard to believe that something once used to buy a cup of coffee can now buy a luxury car or even a house. But that's the magic of coin collecting. The past has value, real, tangible, jaw-dropping value, if you know what to look for. So if you've got a jar of old coins, a family collection, or you're just getting started with numismatics, keep your eyes open. Look for the details. Because the next rare find could be hiding in your own home. Coin 4. We're unlocking a true legend of American numismatics, a coin so rare, so mysterious, and so incredibly valuable that it has become the holy grail for dime collectors across the globe. You might think a dime is just pocket change, but not this one. Today, we're diving into the incredible story of the 1894 dime, a small silver coin from the United States that has turned heads for more than a century. It's a piece surrounded by myth, curiosity, and controversy. But most of all, it's worth a fortune now. Let's start by clearing up one thing. If you're familiar with the Mercury dime series, you'll know those were struck between 1916 and 1945. But before the Mercury dime, there was another design that ruled America's 10-cent pieces, the Barber dime, named after its designer, Charles E. Barber. These dimes were minted from 1892 to 1916, and the 1894 edition is one of the rarest U.S. coins in existence. Why? Let's dig into the story. In 1894, the San Francisco Mint was expected to strike millions of Barber dimes, just as it had in previous years. But strangely, only 24 were ever produced. That's right, just 24 dimes were minted that year in San Francisco. Not 24,000. Not 24 million. 24 total. And to this day, no one knows exactly why. Some say it was simply a bookkeeping test, a way to balance the mint's financial records at the end of the fiscal year. Others believe they were minted as special gifts for VIPs, bankers, or influential politicians. There are even whispers of an intentional rarity being created, possibly as a favor to a high-ranking official. Whatever the truth is, one thing is clear: this wasn't just a regular production error. This was a coin born in mystery. Of the 24 known to have been struck, only 9 are confirmed to exist today. That makes the 1894's Barber dime one of the rarest coins in all of American history. Every single known specimen is accounted for and locked away in private collections, museums, or safety deposit boxes, except for a few that surface at auctions once in a generation. One of the most famous stories about the 1894's dime involves a little girl named Hallie Daggett, the daughter of the San Francisco Mint superintendent. According to legend, her father gave her one of the 24 dimes as a gift. Like any child would, she used it to buy ice cream. Think about that. A coin now worth a fortune was once traded for a scoop of vanilla. That lost dime has never been recovered. Let's talk design for a moment. The Barber dime features Lady Liberty on the obverse, wearing a Phrygian cap and laurel wreath, symbols of freedom and victory. The reverse is classic and elegant, with the words "one dime" encircled by a wreath of American crops like corn, wheat, and oak. It's simple, bold, and timeless. And while millions were made in other years, the 1894's is in a category of its own. So what makes this coin so valuable? It's not just the rarity, although that's a huge factor. It's also the mystery, the stories passed down through generations, the legend of the missing pieces, and the fact that every collector wants one, yet almost no one can have one. Combine that with condition, and the value soars. To imagine this, an 1894's Barber dime, in near-perfect condition, preserved for over a century. Every detail sharp, every line intact. No scratches, no corrosion, just flawless silver, a true survivor. When coins like this go up for auction, it's not just numismatists who show up. Investors, historians, and even museums come to bid. It becomes a bidding war where emotions run high and history is at stake. And now, the moment we've all been waiting for. One of these legendary 1894's Barber dimes, held in remarkable mint condition, verified by professional grading, and preserved like a national treasure, sold at auction for an astonishing $190,000. Yes, you heard that right, $190,000 for a 10-cent coin. So the next time you walk past a coin jar, rummage through an old drawer, or inherit a collection from a relative, take a second look. That forgotten dime could be a gateway into history. And who knows? It might just be worth a small fortune. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this incredible coin story, be sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and tap the notification bell so you don't miss any of our upcoming deep dives into the rarest and most valuable coins on Earth. Until next time, keep collecting, stay curious, and remember, some of the greatest treasures come in the smallest sizes.